back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Jaylen Wright, Miami Dolphins running back. First game where he got some real opportunities. Like, he was basically the lead back after the Achan injury, and he made the most of it. Really shined, like, had his breakout game this season. After having that injury, like, before the year started, it kind of slowed down, I think, his chances of getting those opportunities. But as I've talked about this many times. Like, I think as a replacement to Achan, he was a better fit as a lead back in this offense than Ollie Gordon. I think Ollie is really nice as a compliment, and he does a lot of solid things. But Wright just has that explosiveness. You could see that burst all over the film today, and also like played with a lot of physicality, like good contact balance and power throughout the game, breaking some tackles. I thought he looked very decisive as well. There were maybe a couple times I think the vision was a little bit questionable still, but overall better. And I'll break down some of the things that I think he can work upon. But overall, really in that first action as like a lead back, he looked solid. And he also, I think, offers some nice versatility because he was doing it on a mix of concepts from outside zone, some inside zone, duo, those fold concepts they've been running, the lead outside zone with a fullback where he looks comfortable. They ran some counter action with him. Really opened up the playbook because I coming out of college he ran a lot of that stuff except outside zone, but outside zone's sort of like the mainstay of the offense, so he has to that ability to run everything. I think the outside zone stuff is where he could still use some work from time to time, but he was running very hard, difficult to bring down. Love that decisiveness. But yeah, here's sort of like the plays. I loved running just some lead outside zone with angled as a blocker. It also just makes his reads easier. You're working off the back of angled. I think he makes the correct read here. They set the edge. They got outside leverage. Brewer is able to cut off. This is the exact hole you want to hit up. So I think he makes the right decision to hit up through here. I think sometimes though, when he gets to the second level, like right here, he kind of runs into Jonah. I think it'd be nice if you could just see him bend this a little more to the outside. Because man, if you can get him in open space, like that's like the next step for him. I think getting those big plays at the second level, because there was just times where he just left a little bit on the field. Like right here, he makes the correct decision, just runs into his O lineman when he could have bent this to the outside, but still shows some good play ability here. Where, like stays on his feet off of that contact, also then picks up his feet so he doesn't get tripped up on, and then even after doing that, able to show some really good balance and power to not go down initially from this DB, carry him for a couple extra yards, which is always nice. Those hidden yardages can be the difference in games from time to time. And Wright was constantly fighting. I think that was probably my favorite thing from that he's done pretty much the whole year since he's finally gotten some touches. Is he's been fighting for yards, and you get to see that on that play right there. A couple plays, then you get some counter action, just making the correct decision initially. Hole opens up. And then as you can see, like once he gets to the second level, like he probably should cut to the right of Dulcich here. That's something, I think has been, it looks worse than it is because I think if he does cut right and this guy might have a chance to get there, this safety's kind of filling up into this gap. So it's not like he's going to pick up too much extra yards. Like I understood the vision, like he's trying to get this safety to commit down here and then he would cut it back. And if he can split these guys, maybe make a play, but probably leaves a few extra yards on the field in that situation, but still picking up nice gains. Looking like pretty explosive as well. Even his change of direction, pretty solid. That was nice work there. Then outside zone, correct decision. Again, love the contact balance and power. So outside zone, you're getting a man-to-line scrimmage down. Here's his eyes. This guy sets the edge. Outside leverage. Then you get down to here. See how you're just going down the line. Peek. This guy, you see this cutback lane. Boom. Good job. Look at the lower body. You see how he's really like showing some flexibility in his hips there. And that's what you want to do. You want to open your hips, point the toe of where you're trying to go. Now, I would like to see him stay a little bit tighter to his O-lineman here. This is something like just slight path adjustments. Like he's making the correct decision in a lot of these situations. It's just, there's something Achan's really good at, like the slight path adjustments where you make this cut, but you stay so tight to Paul here that this guy doesn't have the chance to hit you. Now, Jaylen Wright makes up for it from a physical perspective because look how he just throws this guy off of him and is able to still get upfield, fight, fall forward. Love that. Doing a really good job. Like you can see him brace for contact, get that hand out, dip that shoulder, reduce your surface area, and then just show really good core strength and balance. So I even think Wright said in his interview after the fact, like, he being hard on himself, thinking he left some yards on the field, and he still had a quality game. Like, there's still improvement to be had, but as a number 2 guy, I think in the offense, like, to me, it's Achane 1. Wright is the guy that's number 2 in terms of, like, if you're gonna need, like, someone to take over the load, it would be him, and then Ollie is, like, the complimentary guy, comes in on short yardage situations, is, like, kind of the hammer once these guys get these explosive plays. But, yeah, that's, some pretty good work there from Wright. Here's another one where I just think he's constantly fighting for yards. I love the ability, just Dolphins downhill, some inside zone, working off the back of these blocks, kind of making the correct decision, makes like that gather step right there, like he might work to the inside. Once he kind of presses up into this block, tries to cut this back to the other side. Maybe he could have been a little more patient to let this develop. But I understand there was a guy on the backside there. He kind of had to make a commitment, but still gets upfield and then like gets contacted around like the 43, 44 yard line and is able to carry the pile up to like the 48, 49. So just picking up those extra yardage, like he has some good play strength. For a guy that was known for his speed and athleticism coming out, he's got some decent size to him and can play with that toughness, which is definitely one of his strengths as a player. Also, ball security. He didn't fumble in this game. I know he's had some fumbles in the past, like in the preseason stuff. I do still think that's something. There was times where think he got a little bit loose with it, so that's something that we'll look at in the future. But man, this one I really like. This one's a good example of him getting skinny through the hole. So the Dolphins running some fold action here to the left. You pull the center around, you pull right tackle around, and they kind of replace those gaps. And he does the correct job getting, like, you're supposed to work off of Brewer in this situation. This edge sets this edge here. You're not trying to bounce this the edge. Uh, and he gets skinny through the hole. I like how he dips that shoulder, gets skinny through the contact, breaks some arm tackles, fall forward, pick up 7 yards. Like, this is not a big hole. Some of his runs were coming from pretty big holes. This is just like a normal sized hole to hit through, and some guys might only pick up 3-4 yards on this play. But I like how he got skinny in that situation, and was decisive. He's been very decisive. Sometimes maybe he needs to be a little more patient in situations, but that's a very solid play there from Wright. Here's his touchdown. I believe his first career touchdown because I don't think he scored any last year. But yeah, he gets a touchdown. They gave him a goal line carry, which I think was nice. He deserved it. And this was early on in the game before Achane even got injured. I mean, this is just good blocking. Dolphins running some duo insert with Julian Hill. And this wasn't, I just had to put it in here because it's a Jaylen Wright touchdown. He didn't have to do much on this play. Like, this is just really good work all around. Jonah displacing a guy, Brewer displacing a guy. Wright just has to not get knocked back by a DB, and he, walks into the end zone. Yeah, good work all around. Got to give the O-line a ton of credit. They've been really excelling as run blockers, and the running backs are taking advantage of it. Love this play. This is very similar to so there was a rep last week where Jaylen Wright, I believe he was the 5th ranked ball carrier. So he only had a couple touches last week. And he was like the 5th ranked ball carrier in terms of like GPS. So like, they keep track like GPS miles per hour. He was like 5th. He had like the 5th fastest time for a ball carrier. And it was on a rep like this. And you can just see the speed, man. When they are able to capture the edge, because they're just pulling, multiple people here, left guard, center, and they're able to get to the edge and just look at this speed from Jaylen Wright. Like, very, very impressive to get to this edge and pick up yards on this play. Like, he is moving there. Like, that's a lot of juice. And also, I know this part doesn't matter, but this is something to keep attention to. Like, these are little details. Like, the fact that this guy dives at his leg, and you see how he's, like, still moving full speed, pick up his legs, and stays on his feet. Now, it's going out of bounds. But this is something to show just, like, oh, he has some contact balance even when he's moving at full speed. Like, he can make people miss like this. So, like, if this is a situation where he's inbounds and a guy dives at his feet, he can pick up his feet and still maintain. That's something to maybe remember if this situation happens at a different part of the field where he's not going out of bounds. But yeah, that's just really good juice on the edge. Good decision finding quick cutbacks. You can just see him anticipating. They're trying to hit this wind back. He's reading 97's leverage. He's obviously very quick decision to work off the back of Jonah. They're kind of hitting that action with Julian Hill working backside. Very easy read for him to make, and he makes it, gets downhill, in a hurry, and then I like how he, drops his shoulders into people. Fight forward, look where he gets contacted, around that yard right there. Falls forward for about an extra 4 yards, which is just really good, especially when you're making contact with a linebacker. That's not always the case. Not all running backs will get that. Some will, some won't. It's nice to know that Jaylen Wright can pick up that extra yardage. Uh, Here they're just pulling everyone. Like, look at this concept. Right tackle is pulling to the outside. Brewer is pulling around. Paul is pulling. They're just pulling all of the Athletico linemen because Brewer, Paul, and Jackson are the most athletic guys. And then now you're just working down the line of scrimmage. You're not going there. 97's got the outside. Now you're working off the back of him, cut up to this. And now you've made that first decision. Your eyes get back to 91. And then you cut this to the out, or to all the way back to the inside, even off of Paul. Get skinny through that contact, fall forward, constantly falling forward. I loved seeing that from Jaylen Wright. Getting a 100-yard rushing game it was really nice to see. And I mean, Achan, I can't remember if Achan had 100 or almost had 100 for only barely playing the game. I mean, Achan's absolutely crazy. But yeah, just nice. He just let off like 6-7 yard game. This is like outside zone where you want to look at like lead, look at Jaylen Wright. You're not trying to capture the edge here. You're trying to hit it up in here. So Jackson is trying to widen his guy. You work off the back of Ingold. Strange is able to climb up to this linebacker. Paul cut off. Jonah climb up to this guy. They do it perfectly. 6-0 lineman. Jaylen Wright makes the correct read. Maybe would like to stay on his feet there a little bit longer, but just hitting the hole, being decisive, not wasting much time, getting downhill, picking up, a nice 7-yard gain. Another example of lead outside zone, this time hitting a cutback. You're working off angled. Like I'm saying, this guy sets a strong edge. You're reading now 91. Then eyes go to 90, 97, who crosses face of Jonah. Now you hit that cutback. Get downhill, get skinny, get contacted by a DB, fall forward for a couple extra yards, pick up 6 on a play. Just a lot of that from Jaylen Wright in this game. Like, maybe there was times where like, oh, that second level he could have made a slightly better decision, but man, he was doing some good work. This was like the one play I think where like a lot of his like minimal runs, like the ones that like went for 3 or less, let's say, most of them I would say weren't on him. They were just like either O line missing a block or the D line, making a good play, linebacker shooting into the backfield. This is the one where I feel like Jaylen Wright just made the wrong decision. Like he should be hitting up through this hole. Like if you read this, I understand like 72, but 72 that gets a little too far upfield. I understand 72 has that inside leverage, so you do want to cut this back. But 72 gets so far upfield, you just got to work off the back of Ingold here. Maybe press up into him and then cut to the outside. But like there is space to work too in that gap, and he kind of just runs into his own guy and then runs into the linebacker. So not his best decision making in that game. It had to show that sort of that one rep for sure. But overall, like really liked what I saw from Jaylen Wright. He was someone uh I've definitely had some arguments in my streams over about people saying he's horrible. I'm like, he's not horrible. He just hasn't had any opportunities yet. Not saying he still has a long way to go. Don't want to overreact to one game, but it clearly shows that he belongs in the NFL. Will he ever live up to like that that trade for him? Who knows? But like he's a guy that there's a lot of guys on this team. I'm like, if they got more opportunities, they would I think be looked at a lot differently from the fan base. And I also think this was a very good thing for Wright's confidence because I think he needed that boost because he had big expectations. I think for himself coming to the season, didn't quite get a chance for that, and then this was a nice thing. So maybe you could get him more carries. Obviously, if Achan's back, he's still your main guy, but maybe you can spell Achan from time to time. Keep him healthy, keep him a little more fresh. Give Jaylen Wright a few more touches per game. Doesn't mean anything crazy. But then also, know you can potentially lean on him if needed be, if Achan, had an injury or even if he was just gassed and he needed Wright for a drive. He showed that he was capable of that. And he also adds like a little bit of a different element, not quite as like explosive acceleration, special feet as Achan, but he's got enough explosive capabilities while also adding a little bit of more power. Guys might not want to tackle him as much, so that can tire out defenses. And you can see the Jets defense did not want to tackle in this game, even very early on. So if you guys do that, comment.